Hello, everyone. I hope your day is going well or your morning is getting off to a good start. For homework tonight, two things I would like you to do. One, make sure you read the Chapter 7, Section 3 of the iBook and complete Chapter 7, Section 3 Key Terms assignment, which you probably already saw on Schoology. That was posted earlier this morning. And then another reminder, on Thursday you'll have a quiz on Chapter 7, Section 2. If you still have not submitted the worksheet that's due today on Sparta, it was titled Sparta Raising an Army, please make sure you submit that by the end of your class, whether that's the end of first period, fourth period, fifth period, seventh period, or eighth period. Okay, and also if you did not submit the Chapter 7, Section 2 worksheet, which was due Monday, make sure you have that submitted. We're going to go over that assignment tomorrow at the beginning of class, and that'll kind of serve as our review for the Chapter 7, Section 2 quiz on Thursday. Today, there's no do now. We are going to pick up where we left off in the notes. So if you can take out your iPad, if you don't have it out already, open up to Notability and pull up your Greek notes. Eighth period, we are jumping ahead 2 slides. So there's 2 slides on Athens, or 1 slide on Athens that you don't have. Just fill in what we are starting with today, and then when I'm back in class tomorrow, I'll get you guys caught up on any slides that you may miss because you guys are like 1 or 2 slides behind the other classes. Alrighty, so I'm going to pull up the notes where we left off yesterday, and we're going to continue talking about Athens, and we'll finish section 2 today. That way you have everything you need to start studying for the quiz on Thursday. Alright, so yesterday we talked about how the ruling aristocracy or tyranny in Athens started to develop into a democracy. And yesterday I mentioned Solon, who introduced reforms and some elements of a democracy to govern by allowing more people to kind of exercise their power within the council, right, creating 4 tribes within Athens. And other rulers who followed Solon were very tyrannical, or they were like tyrants in their reforms, and they did not last very long. But by 508 BC, an Athenian nobleman, or an aristocrat by the name of Cleisthenes, comes to power. And Cleisthenes is kind of credited for introducing a new representative system to Athens. Right? He is the one who kind of receives credit for introducing the new form of government, which becomes known as a democracy. And he's considered to be the father of democracy in Athens. And if it wasn't for him, maybe we would not have the government that we have today in our country. So it's very important to think about. So what Cleisthenes did when he came to power in Athens in 508 BC, he divides the population of Athens into 10 tribes, so that each tribe was represented. So each tribe would be represented in a council. All right, each tribe would elect 50 citizens. Those citizens would be chosen by lottery each year, and they would serve on a great council known as the Council of 500. And this body determined policy. They made decisions for the city and its citizens. Every man within Athens could still be part of the assembly. The assembly had more powers. Powers in the Athenian assembly, which was made up of all the male citizens. They made important decisions such as going to war, raising emergency taxes, and around 40,000 men qualified for membership in this assembly. 40,000 men. And generally, for meetings, as many as 5,000 men might actually meet together at one time. Just like if you think about how many people in our country actually have the ability to vote, not everyone necessarily goes and votes. Right? So not everyone in Athens would necessarily attend the meetings. Maybe they just don't care, or they're too busy, or they're out fighting a war, whatever the case may be. But no, Cleisthenes establishes this Council of 500, which is very crucial to the development of a democracy. He gives more powers to the Athenian Assembly, which 40,000 men have. And in order to have a say in the assembly, you had to be an Athenian-born man, considered an Athenian citizen, and you had to own land. And in addition to the council that Cleisthenes set up, he also created a court that was made up of several hundred men, and that court would hear cases and lawsuits, and in combination of the Athenian Assembly, the Council of 500, and the court that Cleisthenes set up, basically the democracy in Athens was based on legislative, executive, and judicial branches, which is what our country is based off today. And people that were considered non-citizens and did not have the privileges and rights to this part of Athens democracy were all women. All right, sorry, ladies. All right, the Athenians favored one gender over the other. Foreign-born men, all right, were excluded from participation, and slaves were also not allowed any roles within the government. So this kept basically 3 out of 4 adults in Athens from participating in its newly formed democracy set up by Cleisthenes here. You can see a statue of him there. All right, so 4 was bad. 3 out of 4 men, or I'm sorry, 3 out of 4 adults in Athens could not participate in this newly formed democracy. All right, so I'll wait a second for you guys to get this down. Know that Cleisthenes is considered the father of democracy. All right, write that in on your notes. All right, like I'm writing it on this slide if you did not do so already. Sorry, my handwriting is a little bad. I'm not great with writing with the stylus, so just bear with me. All right, moving on to the next slide on Athens. So what was different about the Athenians' democracy is it was considered a direct democracy. In a direct democracy, like I said, every eligible citizen could attend a meeting and decide on government matters such as going to war, raising taxes, proposing laws, and that was around 40,000 people. So every citizen, but only 5,000 people would attend these meetings, which were held about every 10 days in the Agora. If you remember, there was one picture I brought up of the Greek city-state, Athens, yesterday in class. I didn't bring it up for 8th period. I'll show you guys tomorrow when I'm back in. But outside the Agora, there was a hill. That's where Athenian men would meet to kind of discuss policy and decisions that would be decided by the assembly. And at these meetings, they would vote on passing laws, elect officials. There were 10 officials elected that kind of served as the executive council for carrying out assemblies and decisions made by the assembly and the Council of 500. They were known as magistrates. All right, they helped carry out laws and policies. They made decisions on war, and they also voted on foreign affairs. So Athens' democracy is a little bit different than ours because in our democracy we have a representative democracy in which every citizen chooses people to make decisions such as passing laws, electing officials, making decisions on war and foreign affairs. Whereas in Athens, every citizen, so someone like Mr. Brennan and myself, if the United States was a direct democracy, Mr. Brennan and myself could attend a congressional meeting and vote directly on laws. Or your parents would be able to attend a meeting and vote directly on laws. But in our representative democracy, we choose people to go make those choices for us. All right, in the Senate, in the House, as president, and the president then chooses the judicial branch. And you'll learn more about that next year in 7th grade history. All right, but make sure you get this down. If you miss anything, this is one reminder. You can always go back and watch this video and copy anything down that you miss. All right, so don't get upset if I go a little too fast and you miss something. All right, so this is basically around late 500, around 500 BC. This is when Athens is considered a democracy, officially a democracy in Greece. And then on the next slide, we'll talk about another aspect of Athens that was very different from, the other Greek city-state we talked about. All right, so I'll give everyone another couple seconds to copy this down. And then we'll move on to the last slide for today. All right, so I think it's the last slide of section 3 too. All right, so you're pretty much almost done with the video. All right, moving on. So another important aspect about Athens. Athens put a lot of emphasis on education, all right, philosophy. There's a lot of important achievements developed by Athenians in science and math. And just like how the military was such an important aspect of Spartan society, in Athens, it was education. All right, they emphasized the education of not just the physical education of a person's body, and there was a certain requirement of military service in Athens. But the Athenians are going to offer schooling for boys around the age of 7. Right? And only boys were allowed to attend these schools. So sorry, girls in Athens, you would not be able to attend the same schools that these boys would be offered. And at these schools, the boys would study a variety of subjects such as reading, grammar, poetry, history, not just Greek history, but also world history, and mathematics, music, rhetoric. Rhetoric is like public speaking. I think it's pronounced rhetoric. And the boys would go to a school. They would learn from a teacher, much like you see boys in this class. Here, there would be a teacher that would teach each one of these subjects. So they would have a teacher that would focus on reading, a teacher that focused on grammar, much like how you have a teacher for each subject. And the Athenian girls, right, they did not attend school. They were educated by mom and dad at home. And the Athenians believed that education was important in order for there to be a successful democracy, because in order to have those people make important decisions for everyone else, for, if you think about what I said 2 slides ago, 3 out of 4 adults were not allowed to partake in assemblies. So compared to the population as a whole in Athens, not a lot of people were making very big decisions. So those people had to be educated. They had to understand policies. They had to understand history. They had to understand risks. They had to understand mathematics to make those decisions on behalf of the whole Greek polis. All right, so from this slide, know that education is an important idea that takes root in Athens. All right, so you guys can thank the Athenians for the fact that you get to go to school 5 times a week, and they're the first civilization that believed a successful democracy needs educated citizens. All right, so you have them to thank to be where you are, and know that the boys would begin schooling around the age of 7, and they pretty much went to school to the age of 20. Right, but they never really stopped learning, and some of the subjects that they studied are the same subjects that you guys still study in school today. All right, so this is the last slide for today. Make sure you get all of this down. Again, if you miss anything, you can always go back and rewatch the video, or pause the video and finish copying it down. All right, thank you guys for listening in. I hope you have a great day. Tomorrow we'll start section 3. Tomorrow, before we start section 3, we're going to talk about the Olympics in Athens, which I think some of you would be interested in. And we'll also go over that Chapter 7, Section 2 worksheet, which was due on Monday. And then Thursday, we'll probably start Section 3, the Greco-Persian Wars. Alrighty. So thank you everyone for listening in. I hope you guys have a great day. And look forward to seeing you or speaking with you tomorrow for those that are remote. Bye everybody. Enjoy the rest of your day.